Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? Let's move to Major League Baseball. Of course, the playoffs got underway this afternoon. Like I said, the Rays a 3-1 win over the Buffalo Toronto Blue Jays. Cleveland still trailing 7-2, maybe 8. Yep, there's the 8th run. Just came across on a sac fly. New York is up in the top of the 7th. Now 8-2 over Cleveland. These opening round is, of course, at the team with the better record. I think all 3 games are played there, so it's not like a 2-1 travel situation. And then the American League Divisional Series are played in San Diego and Los Angeles. The Championship Series will be in San Diego. National League NLDS is in Arlington and Houston. The NLCS will be in Arlington, and then the World Series will be played in Arlington. So, but looking over the bracket here, opening round, Blue Jays versus the Rays, Yankees and the Indians, Twins and the Astros, and the A's hosting the White Sox. In the National League, you have the Dodgers, Brewers, Padres, Cardinals, Cubs, Marlins, and Braves, Reds. Obviously, guys, the big story was with the NL East was the Phillies and their just horrible bullpen. I actually, and again, if there's, besides my Sixers, if there's a Philly team that I do not hate, it is the Phillies. And I felt horrible. I felt horrible for Phillies fans having to watch that on a daily basis for the last 60 games.
It was comedic by the end of it.
Well, and they made a push. I mean they hit a point where they were able to stretch some starters later into a game. The bullpen decided to wake up. There were some call-ups, some send-downs. But I mean, it was a situation where even when they won, I think it was like 12 of 14, got into the playoff picture. I mean, some of those games they're winning. It's not even like they happened to score 9 runs. Like, it's like to win those games, like you're scoring 6, 7, 8, 9 runs, and I haven't had time to really go dig through the schedule and put a stat together because I can't find it. I would like to know the percentage of the Phillies' losses where they scored at least 5. And I'd imagine if you took that stat and broke it down for every team in the majors, I doubt there's anybody with more than
there can't be. There can't be.
It's just baffling that lineup puts together these tremendous, and they come out early. I mean, it's not like they set the team up and like make it a surprise. They come out, they take like 2-run leads, 4-run leads by the 3rd inning, add a couple more late and wind up losing. So I think it was pretty embarrassing. It's been a few years and we still have not addressed the bullpen. I'm hoping that the fact that we got in only to blow it, and even as bad as it was, with a Cardinals win on the last day and a Giants loss on the last day, all we would have had to do was win against a Tampa Bay team that already they didn't need it.
They had nothing to play for.
I don't even think we scored a run on the last day. Shutout. Reminded me a lot of Game 6 of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Uh-oh, Spadudios.
Exactly. Spadudios all season.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah, the Phillies had a lead in 48 out of 60 of the games that they played.
Wow.
They won 29 of those games.
That's brutal.
Not even 28-32. Right?
That is an unbelievable statistic.
It's ridiculous. The worst bullpen I've ever seen. And I saw today that the rumor is Matt Klentak, who assembled this bullpen, is going to keep his job.
He's going to keep his job?
That's what I hear.
Wow.
I'd say I'm moving, but I already did.
Yeah. So I mean, it's unfortunate, but such is the life of the Philly fans. Hey, at least we have the union.
There you go. There's always somebody there. For the record, the Orioles were 25-35. Like, like the team that I was like, are they going to win 10 out of 60? They won 25, and they were in the hunt at times throughout this year. I actually felt pretty good. I feel pretty good about those 25 wins. Like, almost a 500 season. Like, in a normal 162 game season, I feel like the Orioles sometimes
25 wins
struggle to win 25. So you can do that at a 60. You know, I'm pretty impressed. All right, we're not going to go series by series. We're just going to look out here to the World Series, which is currently scheduled to take place between October 20th and 28th. I am going to take Tampa out of the American League. I feel, and I'm actually going to take them to win the World Series. I feel like the Lightning maybe it's because Sean did move down there. Like, maybe it just disrupted the universe. And it's like they're going to give your home city all the championships, even though it's not the ones that you cheer for. So I'm going to go Tampa out of the AL. I'm going to have them over the Atlanta Braves. Coming out of the National League, I almost had them take. I almost took the Marlins out of the NL because they were the team that was going to derail the baseball season. So why wouldn't they just make the playoffs or make the World Series? But no, I'm going to have Tampa over Atlanta in the World Series, and Tampa winning that in 6. I'll go in 6. Sean, what's your prediction for the World Series?
I thought you were going to have me like walk through it. I was like, okay, well, let's just do a little bit. You know, maybe we'll get there.
In the interest of time, I'm going to keep it a little shorter.
Makes sense. I'm used to have to recap because I talk too much. So let me just. I like Tampa a lot as well. I thought, and it's not because I'm here. Like, I've not been absorbed into the sports culture necessarily.
Thanks, COVID.
But I will say that Tampa seems to just play ball the right way. They have a real good starting pitching rotation. It's not. Is it the best in the playoffs? No. But those teams, spend a lot of money on those guys. The one thing that might hurt Tampa is one of their strengths is they had a good starting rotation 1 to 5. And I think when you get into the playoffs and you get to these situations where teams are throwing three game rotations, that could disrupt it a little bit. But offensively, they just manufacture runs really well. They're fast. They play a great defensive baseball. And so I'm going to take them with you. I'm going to take them. I'm not going to take the Braves just because, screw the Braves. I don't really feel like dealing with that. I don't even. It would kill me to say the Marlins. I'm going to take the Cubs. I was like between like 3 teams to get through. I'm going to take the Cubs because why not?
That's a feel good. That's a feel good.
Yeah, it would take Tampa, Chicago. And I really have no basis as to why. I feel a lot of the teams with more teams in the playoffs. I don't know how to pick Major League Baseball playoffs, and I feel like they're just kind of like all of a sudden it's like, well, they're all kind of the same. So juggle and I'm gonna take the Cubs in the National League because go Wrigley.
If you're not following at Effin Birds EFFIN Birds on Twitter, at
Effin Birds.
At Effin Birds. I highly recommend it. It always makes you feel better about like the world being on fire. But they just tweeted out. It's just like a black and white picture of a bird with a funny saying. This one pretty appropriate tonight. Who's in charge of this fucking train wreck? So at Effin Birds on Twitter. You're welcome. Matt, who's your World Series pick?
So this morning, I was really feeling the A's. Saw they lost already, game 1, but let's stick with them. So I had the A's Dodgers. I thought that would be a fun series, just kind of reliving the glory of the 80s when the world was a mess back then.
Oh, yeah.
Here we are again, same thing. How about we have an earthquake too in the World Series as well,
why not?
Recap everything that just was horrible in the A's, because then we had a good turnaround the 90s were good. The 2000s were fine.
Fine.
So I had the A's over the Dodgers this time. Because I feel like every year I'm like, hey, this is the year the A's could finally do it. And they don't. So why not 2020? Let's make it happen.
Sure. Why the hell not? All right. And then finally, just checking in here. Obviously, last night in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final, the Tampa Bay Lightning just finally putting the Dallas Stars to sleep. I think Dallas wore themselves out even getting to Game 6. Tampa was just too good. The pieces they put on that roster, was the thing to finally get them over that hump of not being able to win in the postseason. Although I saw it was a quote tweet from the NHL Network. One of their analysts back on October 1st of last year, so almost a full calendar year ago, predicted the Tampa Bay Lightning over the Dallas Stars in the Stanley Cup Final. Which, first off, in a normal season, I wouldn't have predicted that.
No.
But then, you had Dallas go off the rails. Their coach got fired, checked himself into alcohol rehab. They righted the ship. Tampa Bay, like I said, put those pieces in. And I'll give credit. And I'll also give credit to the NBA, because we're going to do the NBA and the NFL or the NHL together. They did it right. You put teams into a bubble, you contain it, and you were able to deliver a product that was great on ice, on the court, and you've made it to the end. Like I said, the NBA, of course, the finals start tomorrow night. But kudos to those two leagues for taking an impossible situation and saying, look, if we just bring everybody to one, the NHL had 2 locations to start. We can contain it. We can keep people safe, and we can get these playoff qualifiers and the playoffs in and do it right. And they did just that. But yeah, huge congrats to Tampa Bay. And I know some people have tried to discredit the Lightning already today, saying that it's you don't have the travel, you don't have this, so it's not a normal. It wasn't as hard of a road. But again, these guys have been away from their families for multiple months. You have families that wives are pregnant because they try and schedule things for the off season. So there's yes, they don't have the normal wear and tear of travel on the body, but to imply that these guys haven't sacrificed and put themselves through a grueling playoff year. And also, you forget that they were off from March until July, and then they have to get themselves back into on-ice shape when they haven't been able to go to rinks and to skate and things like that. So they've had to keep themselves in shape as best they could, like in home gyms and stuff like that. So to try and discredit them, I think is off base. But huge congratulations. I don't like another Eastern Conference team raising that cup, but the Lightning certainly earned it. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?
Yeah, I think, like you said, the two did it really well. They also were the 2 leagues that had to do it first. They did both have the advantage of it already being a season in place and got to kind of design a playoff format as best they wanted. That helped a lot. It wasn't all 32 teams, which is kind of where, the NFL had to plan for, and even baseball to that extent had to kind of try to figure out a way to get everybody there. So I think doing it in one site would have been almost impossible. Do I think they could have limited it a little more? Sure. But as of now, looks like we've made it to the baseball playoffs. Looks like we've made it to the this point in the NFL. But I think the NHL, like you said, props to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And if anybody's going to take anything away from these guys, I mean, Tampa's a team that played without its captain for pretty much the entire run.
Yeah, he came back for half a game.
Part of a period. Managed to score a goal and then couldn't finish the series. You know, and and they kept him designated as the captain for a reason. I mean, he's been on the bench, he's been helping the squad. They never really sacrificed his active status. You know, they could have just sent him home. He didn't want to go home. And like you said, this team's been away from it for a long time. We're in a situation where sports might mean more, and I think to each city it might mean more. So the pressure's probably at its apex, especially when, like you said, you're not seeing your family. You can't go anywhere. You know, it's a whole different scenario. So I can't imagine the stress level inside that bubble. This counts. It was weird watching it hoisted without anybody around cheering. There was nowhere else to cut.
Yeah.
It was a really strange thing to watch, but it's
Gary
still,
Bettman didn't get booed.
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't pump booze into that stadium.
That's the only thing the NHL failed on.
He has too much control. They should have been booze pumped in. But it's always exciting to see 20, 30, and 40-year-old men act like little kids just because of a cup hoisted over their heads. And I think it's by far the best trophy in sports and the best tradition in sports. And, good for them. Hopefully Philly soon. They're our last hope, I think, from what I'm seeing right now. So please, God, let this be a sign of things to come. But yeah, props to them. NBA finishing up their bubble. Good for them. Should be a heck of a show to finish out. I think, like you said, props to both leagues.
I think the NHL set a precedent, though, that every year now you have to have those fire bombs going off when the team hoists the cup, because last couple of years they've done some dinky fireworks, but now you got to get those fire bombs every year. Matt, thoughts on the Stanley Cup Finals?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of knew going into this that whoever won, we would hear it doesn't really count thing. So, that bears no weight to me. It counts. Like you said, you're away from your family in the middle of a pandemic for months. There's enough emotional toll that, home ice advantage doesn't even play a role in this. Like, everyone was playing on even field, sure, but everyone's going through something differently. So kudos to all the players for going through that, like kind of grasping the importance of bringing sports back. I think NBA, NHL realized early on, the world kind of needs some sort of distraction. So for all of the athletes to kind of make the sacrifice that they did to give us that, I'm not a huge hockey fan. I watch the Flyers, and that's really kind of it. But I paid attention to this Stanley Cup just because it kind of gave me sports, which I needed. So thank you, all the NHL players. Congrats to Tampa Bay for their win. It's truly a Stanley Cup win. That banner deserves to be up in their rafters, and they all deserve to hoist that cup.
Yeah, and same to the NBA. I mean, whoever comes out, obviously the Lakers and the Heat. We Sean and I talked about a couple weeks ago that as long as the Lakers made it, I feel like the NBA already won, because whether it was the Heat or the Celtics, you were going to have some sort of like dream matchup. You were going to have a renewal of that great rivalry from like the 80s and 90s of the Lakers and the Celtics, or you were going to get LeBron versus the Heat, and kind of like this Cinderella story. And of course the Lakers making it to the finals in the year that Kobe Bryant's tragic passing. I think this sets up for a really fun final. Obviously, I don't have a dog in the fight here. I will probably be watching more of the NBA finals than I ever have, because again, the NHL's done. During the week, we're going to have baseball, but I'm certainly going to check in on the NBA finals as well. I personally, if I like had to pick a team that I'd prefer to win, it would probably be the Lakers. And I apologize to my pal Ernest Christian, who's a big Heat guy and has been for his whole life. But just because of the passing of Kobe back in January, and for them to be able to win that title in the same year, a year from that tragedy through obviously the pandemic and all of that, I think would just be a pretty wild story. But it's going to be fun, and again, same as the NHL. Whoever wins this absolutely deserves it. Anybody trying to discredit them as well needs to just kind of forget that and move on from that line of thinking, because these guys have earned it, absolutely. Sean.
As far as NBA, like you said, I think we touched on it. Whatever the matchup was going to be for LeBron was going to be pretty ideal. I'm not sure the Nuggets fell into the last four quite as well as the Clippers would have. That was kind of an oops, sorry, but this got taken care of. Also, I'm going to give everything I can to the Heat. Obviously, have a heck of a coach, which makes you wonder what would have happened with the right coaching staff for Jimmy Butler in Philadelphia. Looks like with the right coaching and the right team around him and a chance to kind of be the glue, Jimmy Butler's very effective. But I'm not sure he was asked to do that. And he's shown that he can be that kind of player and a selfless player. And, props to him. Having said that, I don't want to see him win. It's hard to say at this point that LeBron is underrated, but I still feel like he is. And I still feel like, I think it's just the world we're in now where people want to tear down the greats, or they want to, there's always someone better, or, we trust the tweets we read or whatever else. Unless I'm tweeting or one of the guys on this podcast are tweeting, you don't have to trust it. You can feel free to question that tweet.
Except with us, obviously.
We would never lie to you. But everybody else, they're going to lie to you at some point. And the ones that are telling you LeBron is not as good as Kobe or not as good as Michael or not shouldn't be in a conversation, they're lying to you. And I'd like to see him get one more, even though people will say, well, it was LA and they bought it. And give him another one.
So what? Most teams at this point do.
Buy them.
That's the way, the nature of sports at this point anyhow.
Buy them, yeah.
It's not the old days, like you don't have the guys that are in a place for their entire career and take hometown discounts, and
you don't.
Guys chase championships because that's unfortunately how legacies are defined. Matt, your thought on the NBA Finals?
Yeah, like Sean said, the Clippers would have made this a better Final Four than the Nuggets. It's still a nice Cinderella story, but those always kind of come to an end, and then you're just kind of left wondering what if. To the point of LeBron, 9 of the last 10 seasons, he's taken a team to the NBA Finals. So if anyone's trying to discredit LeBron at this point, you just have to look at that. Win or lose, he's gotten to that dance. Jim Kelly lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. Was he a bad quarterback? No, absolutely not. So that's kind of like the LeBron effect. And at this point, he doesn't even have a big three at this point. It's him and AD carrying a cast of characters into the NBA Finals. So Jimmy Butler just kind of fit into the perfect situation for him. He was never going to be the man in Philadelphia. When you have 2 young superstars like the Sixers do, he's just going to kind of get lost in the folds. So he found the right situation for him. I'm happy for him, but I don't want to see him hoist the championship. I hate the Miami Heat. I hate the Miami Heat fan base. I hate that they think that because people want to go to Miami that they are the gold standard of NBA franchises because they lucked into LeBron for 4 years and got 2 championships out of it. So don't want to see any success for them. I like the story that we're seeing here with Kobe passing away, LeBron kind of taking that on his plate at this point as being kind of the guy now. In LA, I want to see Anthony kind of get the ring that he's deserved after being in New Orleans for so long, trying to do things the right way, trying to build a team down there and not getting it. I think he's deserved that ring. So I'm certainly rooting for the Lakers, which is kind of weird as a 76ers fan, but the enemy of my enemy is always my friend, as they say.
That is fair. All right. The Yankees now 11-2 over Cleveland, 11-2. So pretty sure that in the top of the 8, that one's pretty much locked up for game 1 there. And the debate looks like it's well off the rails. I might watch it just for the entertainment factor once we get off.
I saw a tweet or a comment that I'm assuming it happened during the debate. I don't see any reason why, but the whole "I brought Big Ten football back" that may have come into play. Just want to throw that out there while we're on a sports podcast.
Sure.
So it should be entertaining to catch up on.
Yeah.
I mean, does he know that the college football players knelt week 1 like some SEC? Is he done? Is he done now?
He's just like, I wish I'd never done it.
Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?